In this video, I am going to prove to you that you can max out a Brompton like I have without having to go to Kinetics, without having to replace or upgrade any of the extremities so that you can use the frame as it came from the factory. Of course, this video and everything I say about the Brompton is only relevant for the small frame Bromptons. The G line I do not cover. I have done several videos in the past about the G line, and that is not a frame that I recommend to anybody, and I would not even bother with it. If you have a frame like that, the best thing you can do is just sell it and get a small frame or get a better bike, get a Moulton or a Birdie that would serve you better. Now, before I move on, this is my main homepage. There is a link below. This page allows you to connect with me on social media. You can email me direct and you can see everything I talk about. You can literally make purchases or just study what you are considering for purchase. And some of these are Amazon links. As you can see, I have a ton of Amazon stuff that's really relevant, everything I have used and I believe in. And there are some other links that are not Amazon, and I'm not even making any money on these, but I think they are very important and just have to know them. So let me go into what I mean by a maxed out Brompton. What I mean here is this is not really fully maxed out, but this is a Kinetics Brompton. If you have not been following the channel or you are new to Brompton, Kinetics is a shop in Scotland that has been customizing the Brompton bike. They make extremities such as custom-made forks. I know this looks like a standard Brompton fork, but it is not. Same thing with the triangle. It looks just like the original, but they are wider. So they are capable of taking disc brakes, for example, which you can see front and rear, and you can buy from them a variety of proper 16-inch rims. So you can actually load the Big Apple, the 2-inch wide Big Apple tire. This is a beautiful job, but it is not fully maxed out. If you read my book, you know that I don't like the standard seat suspension setup. I have a much more comfortable setup described in my book, which is this one here. But other than that, and also there's no electric support, but other than that, this is fully maxed out. What you see here is upgraded rims, upgraded tires, belt drive, an upgraded hub. You can get roll of hubs from them, but you can also get the Shimano, which is less expensive, and there is only one wire needed. So some people like the Shimano, and even with the wider triangle and fork, you can still fold the bike. It's not significantly wider. You can see that it's a bit bigger, but I don't think overall the package is all that big. And it's worth noticing that he's using the standard mudguard installation, and because the rim is so much smaller, the bigger tire is not rubbing against the rim. So you can leave the rims as they are and fit a much bigger tire, and still everything is going to work. The standard mudguards are going to work, and the fold is going to work also. Little suspension upgrade here is also linked from my store. It's this one. I have the Japanese version, which is better quality, but costs twice as much as the Chinese version. It's up to you which one you want to get, but they are certainly highly recommended. I have more upgrades than this, but this is very close to maxed out non-electric Brompton. You can see the belt drive here. I think, in fact, I can see that this is just a Shimano Alpine, and you can see that this is the standard mudguard, which has been colored. This is custom coloring as well. Very carefully done, no question about that. And the rims are highly sophisticated. Not only are they proper 16 inches, but they are also carbon fiber and aerodynamic. Very nice job. Here is another shot from the left side, and here is the disc brake upgrade, most likely hydraulic. In fact, I saw a Magura logo, so this is probably a Magura hydraulic brake. It's one of the best brakes that you can get. And so I'm going to show you now how you can achieve all of this and more without having to pay 500 minimum for the triangle upgrade, another 500 for the fork, or maybe a little bit less, and having to pay for the installation as well, unless you want to suffer and install it yourself. It's not an easy job, I'm warning you. Also, you would have to install the disc brakes, which is not that easy, although doable. So what can you do yourself on a standard Brompton frame, a steel frame, possibly even a titanium one? You can do some of it, maybe not all of it, but some of it. Well, the first thing is, if you remove the external gears in the rear on a standard Brompton, you can upgrade from a 3-speed to a 5-speed Sturmey Archer. The range of this gear is still going to be only half of what you would get out of a roll-off hub, and perhaps a little bit more than half of what you would get from a Shimano. But you are also not paying $1,600 for a roll-off, which is the minimum price for the cheapest roll-off hub. I personally have chosen to go with the front chainwheel upgrade, which is great and easy to install if you are running chains and not a belt. If you have a belt drive, then you can only play around with the hub. You can't do a dual chainring because you cannot move a belt from one chainring to the other. So what you're doing here to have two totally different diameters for a dual chainwheel, that is not something you can do with a belt drive. So that's the only shortcoming of this option. You have to maintain a chain, but this is going to give you, even with the 3-speed hub that comes with the standard 6-speed Brompton, this is going to give you the gear range that you would be getting from a roll-off hub, which is absolutely incredible. And if you combine a dual chainring in the front with the 5-speed Sturmey Archer, then you can probably get a wider gear range that you would be getting with roll-off for a fraction of the price. So you can totally upgrade the drivetrain and have the gear range of a roll-off hub and even more without touching the extremities, without getting a new triangle or anything like that. If you want a belt drive, you would have to upgrade to a classy hub like the 5-speed that I was just showing to you now. The 5-speed Sturmey Archer is going to give you a decent gear range, not as much as a roll-off, but a decent gear range. And you can have one chainwheel in the front, and you don't need to replace the triangle because this is the split belt drive. This is something where, just like with the chain, you are splitting the belt, not the triangle. Otherwise, if you are using the standard belt drive, such as you are seeing here, this belt drive is a single piece, so the only way to install it is to have a triangle that's breakable. So you see these screws, and you can actually separate the triangle. And then a gap opens up, and this belt is a non-breaking belt. It's a single piece of material. When it comes to the split belt, it's really a split, so you don't need to worry about doing anything to the triangle, and you can just merge the two ends. You see that the ends become narrower, and there is a Y on one side. This is the female, and there is a male that links into the female, and then there are some screws to hold them together. Maybe it's a slightly different feeling from a single piece belt drive, but this system permits you to install a belt drive on an existing triangle that came from the factory without having to separate anything. You see that this is just a standard triangle. There are no extra screws. It's not separable, and yet they are running a belt drive on it. So if you want a belt drive, you don't have to go to Kinetics. You can just buy one of these belts. Is this a cheap deal? Well, no, but the carbon belt drive is not much cheaper than this. If you went to Kinetics, you would have to pay $500 for the triangle, pay for the installation. You would have to upgrade the hub because now you have a wider triangle, and then you would have to pay for the belt drive as well. So this is just a much cheaper, much more elegant way to go. And then there is the issue of braking. Obviously, the standard rim brakes on the Brompton are not going to do much. All they do is to bring you to a slow stop on flat terrain or a slight downhill. If you are taking a steep mountain downhill, may the spirit be with you. Those rim brakes, the mechanical rim brakes that you get, are not going to do much. Obviously, if you upgrade for the disc brakes that you see here, these are Magura brakes. I see the M logo. These are going to be the toughest. And unfortunately, I think it's unfortunate, most people want to go from a simple rim brake to a hydraulic disc brake, which once again requires specialty custom dropouts and triangles because you have to screw them into the frame somehow. So that attachment is not available on a standard Brompton. You would have to buy them. They cost about $500 a piece, and you would have to have a customized frame to install them. Check out the Magura Rim Brake on the other hand. Hydraulic rim brakes are much more powerful than their regular, especially center suspended mechanical rim brakes. Typically on the Brompton you see a screw up here, and that's how you install it. This one has screws on the two sides, so it can only be attached to a Brompton using an adapter. But making an adapter even by yourself out of a piece of metal is way cheaper and way easier than to upgrade both the fork and the triangle and to pay for the hydraulic brakes. I mean, look at the price. These things cost about $100. Depending upon how many fingers, they have different price ranges. And the color is also, you pay more for a different color. But in any case, you can get it for about $100. And the power of these brakes is somewhere halfway between the hydraulic disc and the all mechanical rim brakes. They are easily enough to bring you to a full stop, even if you're on a steep downhill. So these are highly recommended. They do need an adapter. If you don't want to do the brakes, then you would have to still use the brakes that came with the stock Brompton that you have. There are adapters online that allow you to lower the brakes. I don't know how they would interfere with the mudguards. You might have to cut the mudguards, or you might have to just buy some cheap rim brakes that are long reach. Long reach brakes are available. There are plenty of them. They're not high quality, but they are available. So the brake is kind of a weak point on the Brompton if you don't want to go with a full Kinetics upgrade. The next upgrade is the fat tire. Here you can see that fat tires were installed because the rims have been replaced by a standard 16-inch rim. The stock Brompton rims are 16 and a quarter. They call them 16, but they are not really 16. They are 349 millimeters as opposed to the 305 that you see here. Now this is something, the rim replacement is something you can do without changing the triangles. Can you install these rims with the standard hubs that you have? Of course you can. In fact, you can even replace the rims and shrink them down to proper 16-inch size, even on an electric Brompton, even with an electric kit. All you need to do is take the wheel as it came to you and put it in a box, send it to a good wheel building shop with the rim that you want them to install, and they are going to take out the spokes, put in shorter spokes, and install the new rim. So you're going to have a smaller rim. It's going to be lower, so you'll need to lower this brake with an attachment adapter, or you will have to get longer range mechanical brakes. But this is doable. Can you load 2-inch wide tires here? No, because there is not enough space. But you can load something like this. You can load 1.5, you can load 1.75. I am currently running 1.5, the only one that fits on the Brompton's 16 and a quarter rim. But once you downsize to proper 16, you're going to have a lot bigger selection of tires to choose from. And these tires are made by Schwalbe, so you can get some really good quality tires for not a lot of money either. The price is absolutely okay. As you can see, it needs a 305 millimeter rim, not the 349 that the Brompton comes with. But you can upgrade not to 2 inches, but 1.75, which is very close. You're going to get much better stability, much better traction, and more comfort with lower tire pressures without having to do much of anything other than changing the rim. You have to replace the rim on the existing hub, but you can keep the hub, even an electric hub. You can keep everything else. You only need to work on the rim and the brakes. And so I have a separate page on my main site that gives you a number of electric kits. These are the best electric kits that I can recommend. Obviously, I'm partial to this one. This is the most powerful one. This is the green kit. It runs on a Crystalite Chinese-made hub motor that is easily overclocked to 650 watts, even 750 if you have the computer and the controller to do it. You can read my book. I have a detailed chapter on how to install it. If you don't want to fuss with that, you can choose one of these two kits. This one is a little difficult to install because you have to remove the bottom bracket, and maybe you can take it to a high quality, high-end shop that would do it. But for the most part, I don't like shops touching my Brompton, especially to install an electric kit on it. So it's best for you to just figure it out, but it's a very neat kit. Everything is pre-packed, the battery, everything is plug and play, so it's easy to install. But if you really don't want to worry too much about you have no experience to install electric kits, then you can just do a switch kit. And the switch kit is readily available, very easy to install. A lot of people have installed it with no prior experience. You get a wheel with an electric motor in it, you just pop that in. There is a sensor here, and there is another element that reads the turning of this wheel. This little disc is made of two parts, so you can just snap it onto the bottom bracket. It's a toolless installation, and this little sensor over here, you can use wire ties to attach them to the tube. So it's really easy to install. The rest of it is some wires. It's all plug and play. The controller and the battery are both housed here. The base is the controller. The battery can be swapped out, and you can buy new batteries as well. So this is a very easy kit to install, and the speed limiter is set to 20 miles per hour. So you get roughly 33% more than the standard Brompton electric would give you, which is speed limited to 15 miles an hour. So as I've said this before many times, I would much recommend that people get a steel frame Brompton or even a titanium or steel and titanium frame and put on one of these kits rather than to buy an electric Brompton and be far more limited in terms of speed and also batteries. Finally, this maxing out is something that even Kinetics never thought of. You can make your Brompton more aerodynamic. This is a smaller scooter windshield, which has some attachments, so you can use some ropes and wires to attach it to a front bag. It's really not that difficult to imagine that you could attach it to a front bag, and I will probably be doing that sometime in the near future. Now, during winter month, or if you want something even more aerodynamic, then you would want to get the at least $500 zipper fair that's made for the Moulton. I know it's a Brompton and not a Moulton, so installation would not be that easy. You would have to probably attach the bottom to the front bag or whatever infrastructure is holding the front bag, but then you would have to hold this thing up. And there are some metal rods here which you might be able to attach to some of the front carriers, custom front carriers that are available. This is entirely experimental, so this is definitely not a beginner upgrade, but I believe it's doable even on the Brompton. And here it is. You can max out a Brompton without changing either the front or the rear extremities, without going with the disc brake, without spending an extra $2,000-$3,000 just on these upgrades. You can get everything you want for a whole lot cheaper. And once again, I have links on my website to all of this stuff. Make sure to check it out. If you want to read my book, it's on half price on Amazon right now. It really does not cost a lot of money, and there is a lot of knowledge in it because I have I have walked this path. I have already built most of it. What I have not done so far are the rim upgrade, the rim brake, the hydraulic rim brakes, which by the way are not necessary if you're running some of the electric kits. If you're running the green kit, then there is plenty of electronic braking in it so that you don't even need to worry about these brakes. So for those of us riding an electric version of the Brompton, this is not even a concern. But other than that, just upgrading in the rear is going to fix your stopping problem on the cheap, I must say. Okay, this is it. Let me know what you think, and if you have any questions. I tried a live stream today, but it didn't really work out. I don't see the benefit in it. I might try it at some other time, but only to chat. I prefer to show my screen and to explain what I'm talking about, not live, but editing it. Okay, this is it for now, and
I'll be back.